Hi, I'm Marie Eldridge, an educator in the Handi Quilter studio, and this is the 3-inch square template. And we're going to be using the inside, which will give us a really square, but the outside adds to it too. So first I want to start with a little eye candy. This is the reason I am in love with this template, is because you can do square, and I always want to do it offset on my 2-inch squares that I've put on my quilt. So this helps that I can get that outside of it. So I really like how it turns out. The other thing is I have used it on a very traditional quilt as well. I always want to do a square, and I'm never sure where to stop my ruler. So with this, I could just put that up there and put it from point of star to point of star, and it worked great. So very different uses, but a lot of different things you can do with this ruler. So as you can see, I've stitched out a few things here. First of all, let's just start over on the left side, and you can see these boxes. It's just that square, and then I've added to the inside, kind of imitating a block that you would see on a quilt. This are those stacked squares that I was talking about that I love to see put together and echoed. So the first thing I did was that outside square, which is this one right here. And then I echoed inside just using my hopping foot and a ruler to go inside of there and put a design in. Then I can bring in my 3-inch square ruler, and what I did was I made a straight line across so that I could line up with it. And then when I did this one, I totally put this right to the center there, and then I just echoed part of that box. So I added a box on both sides by just moving that square, and then I echoed and went around the outside. So let me just show you a little bit of how I set that up. First of all, I'm going to bring my ruler and kind of get an idea of where I need to be. So this is one of those rulers that has the little gap. You need to make sure that your hopping foot is up. And I'm going to bring this in and position it so that that little 2-inch square is right in the center of my 3-inch square. And then we'll just bring up our thread. All right, let's make sure we're all set up there. Okay, and with this gap, I kind of like to put a finger across that when possible so that it keeps it straight. And because it's not that big of a square, if you start to feel it shift, you can move your hands. But that one worked out really nice. I like how that turned out. Let's just take a look. So you can see it's on point. Now I could use another ruler and just echo that, or I can use my the outside of this ruler. What happens when you use the outside, you get a little bit of a curve going around it. You can see these here. So let's set this up. I'll just put this out here. This time I don't need to be on the inside, but I'm just going to line up. Oh, that's a whole lot bigger than I thought it was. Okay, so we're just lined up there. All right, we're gonna come down here and go around this corner. So it looks like we're kind of tucked into that one. All right, you can see how this kind of comes up a little bit. So if you put your thumb across it, and then I'm going really good along here, you gotta slow down and hug tight and go around the outside curve. So that's how you do the outside of it. And we could keep going around, and you can see I just did some echoes on the inside of there. I'm going to show you one more thing that I did with this. I learned some things while I did this box right here, but it's actually one 3-inch square this way and then the 3-inch square this way, but because I want it to look like it's laying behind there, I stitched up and around the outside. I Now I'm using white thread on purple fabric, and it's a heavy thread so that it shows really good. So it may not show on your quilt, but let's just say that I can show you a little trick here. So we'll do the first one at an angle. So I'll bring that in, and we're going to do this one on point. I think if I turn that, then I can keep my thumb down there. Here we go. And if I just have my pressure with my thumb right on that gap in the ruler, it doesn't shift at all. All right, so now I want to come down and I want to be able to turn my ruler. So what I'm going to do is just do a little tacking stitch there so it's not too obvious. I'm going to just drag my thread and I can set this up. I do have the halfway line here and right where the gap is that will go on the corners of that. Then I'm going to come over and just start right here, do this corner, do a little tacking stitch, lift my needle, come across, do a little tacking stitch, go down, do a little tacking stitch, and I can just drag that across, and I'll just trim these threads later, but then I don't have that big gap. Okay, the other thing, or the big thread buildup, the other thing that I did here was that I used the outside of the ruler. You don't have, just because it's 3 inches and it's big on the outside. Let me just show you. If you trim some of this. All right, so let's just say I have my ruler there, and then I can just echo this way and use that side of my ruler, hug it really tight. And that's how I got these corners on this ruler over here. So that's how you do it. This one sort of looks like it's a puzzle piece, but that's how you do it. My next favorite one is just to do your rulers and do one here, one here, one here. And the way I did that was exactly the same way. Just do your one on point, put your ruler on. We're going to set this up so it'll go right next to that one. All right, and I'm going to twist this so for me that's comfortable to keep my thumb across that little gap. All right, we're going to go down. I'm going to do a little tacking stitch. I'm going to move it over a 1/2 inch. So if I look at my grid lines on here, which I love all the grid lines everywhere, I'm lined up again. I have the point. I have a grid line going this way that lines up with the points of that square. So now I can just come down. Tacking, lift it. I'm going to move it again. I'm just dragging that thread. I'm looking on the grid line here, so it's a 1/2 inch. I'm lining up the halfway or that corner solid line there, and we'll do one more. And you could keep doing a whole bunch of these. They're just so cute. You could do this all down a border. But when you're done with just doing 3, you get a cute square in the middle. So then I'll just come back, trim my threads. Oh, there's lots of times when I just want a really good square, and this is a tool that will help you get it.